A Kanban board is a tool that Agile teams often use to visualize workflow through a system. While Kanban principles are often used in IT and software development, they can be helpful in any industry. Kanban boards are an effective visual tool and are also referred to as a visual information system. They can be used to quickly capture and display information on the status of work and tasks going through a system or workflow. Whether created using a wall, whiteboard, or even an electronic version that may be shared with remote team members, the Kanban board is the single biggest application of Kanban in software development today. Around the workspace of an IT or software development department, sticky notes may be displayed on the walls, depicting information visually for the team on a certain project. The individual sticky notes on the slide, also called cards, depict tasks that progress through the stages of workflow. A team's workflow may be depicted using a table of columns and rows. The header of each column represents a stage of the workflow. For example, a team's workflow stages could be backlog or new request, design, development, testing, approval, and deployment. As cards are moved from one column to another, team members as well as stakeholders have a quick way to visualize the status of each task. Many teams use color-coded sticky notes to depict different categories of information. For example, yellow sticky notes may depict a new feature, a red sticky note may depict a bug or issue, and so on. Teams usually come up with their own color coding that's meaningful to them. Creating a manual Kanban board is simple and starts with creating a visual flow of the work. Starting with a sheet of paper or a whiteboard, a certain number of columns are created that will represent the stages of the workflow. Then the process steps are written down in order, one per column. These steps can then be used as the headers of the column. The steps can be as simple and generic as to do, doing, and done, or they can be more specific. A more detailed Kanban board may include more categories, including customer order received, payment received, then developed or produced, then dispatched, and finally delivered. An additional option to customize a Kanban board is to create rows, also known as swim lanes, that are specifically set aside for a certain category of work. For instance, one swim lane can be dedicated to bug fixes, and then another swim lane for new development work. There are a number of software tools available that allow Agile teams to create electronic Kanban boards. Some teams have even developed their own version of an electronic Kanban board that fits their needs. Kanban boards may be tailored to a team's preference. For example, some teams may decide to divide each stage of the workflow into the subcategories in progress and done to further specify the exact status of work. An item that is done is ready to be pulled into the next stage of the process, while work that is in progress is actually being worked on. By analyzing work that is sitting in a done column, teams may be able to identify bottlenecks within the process flow and work to reduce them. Visually organizing a team's workflow into columns to depict stages and using sticky notes to depict tasks that move through the process is a great starting point for implementing Kanban. However, Kanban can be much more elaborately utilized. There are a number of lean tools that can be used along with Kanban boards to introduce continuous improvement into workflows. These include the theory of constraints, or identifying constraints or bottlenecks in the system and removing them, MUDA, or waste analysis and removal, the visual workplace, which includes depicting information visually beyond the Kanban board, value stream analysis, and creating more of a pull-based system of a team's workflows.